Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm in the garage today. It's a pretty crummy day out. I'd like to do a introduction to another Jeep project. As you may or you may not have seen, yesterday I posted a video. We made some pretty good progress on the 1943 Ford GPW French Army Hotchkiss M201 Jeep rebuild. And that seems pretty well received. It was just a short little video doing a little walk around and showing some things that have been done to it, as well as the third startup of the engine since it's been rebuilt. And so yeah, everyone really seemed to enjoy that, so I figured I would show the next project in line, which, as I said, I don't know if I said, but it's the 1942 Ford GPW Fire Jeep. It was a brush truck for a local fire company, and my grandfather purchased the Jeep back in 2004, and he started restoring it with my uncle back in 2005. But my grandfather kind of lost interest in the project back in 2013, and it's been sitting in here ever since in pieces. So I'll kind of show everyone what it looks like, and you're not going to see very much of it. A lot of the parts have been packed away and stuff, but the tub is still leaning up against the wall, and so, you know, it gives you an idea, and also gives me an idea of what I have to deal with as I go through restoring it. I put a lot of thought into either restoring it back to a fire Jeep, or back to original as it was a military Jeep. And I think I'm going to restore it back to its military counterpart, just because that's what it originally was. And I'll discuss what makes this specific Jeep super rare as opposed to other variations of the fire Jeeps that are out there, since the fire Jeeps in themselves are very hard to come by, and you just don't see a whole lot of them. But yeah, so let's get right into it. Alright, so walking up to the CJ2A on the hood here, I have a picture of what the Jeep looked like when it came from the fire department. Alright, so this Jeep came from the Central Square Fire Department. It was Central Square number 1, brush truck number 1. They used this truck, or this Jeep I should say, up until about I'm going to say, if I recall, 1991, and it was replaced by a Chevrolet square body, specifically a Chevrolet Scottsdale with a water tank in the bed. But that truck was a used truck as well. So that the fire company that had this, or the fire department that had this, they were getting used equipment. And then here's a picture of it after my grandfather had purchased it. As you can see, it was painted yellow. I'm not sure if it shows up too well, but the headlights were replaced with a pair of red sealed beam lights. And up here you could see they had a pair of industrial lights mounted up on the fenders. But they made some changes to it over the years. And why they painted it yellow, I don't know. But it was when it was in service, it was originally red. As you can see, it says about 1975, so it's about the year that this was. And to give everyone else a better perspective, I have a model of this, a Jeep very similar to this one, so hold on a second. Okay, here's a model of a fire Jeep that would most likely be used overseas in the UK, but it is very similar to our fire Jeep. But this just kind of is here just to give everyone a better example of, what a fire Jeep would look like. I'm sure that a fire Jeep probably wouldn't have Pioneer tools like this one, But keep in mind, this is just a model that was, you know, mass produced, so it's not like it's supposed to be super accurate. But anyways, now I'll talk about some interesting details about it. Okay, so as stated earlier, I said that our specific fire Jeep is pretty rare compared to a lot of the other ones, in that our Jeep was a military Jeep. It's a 1942 Ford GPW. A lot of the fire Jeeps you see are civilian, you know, Willys CJ2A Agri Jeeps, kind of like this Jeep right here, which is a CJ2A. It's an Agri Jeep or a farm Jeep. And so a lot of the fire companies, they would get these Jeeps and they would have them converted to fire engines or brush trucks. And as soon as this Jeep was purchased by the fire company, they had it converted. So they didn't go out of their way and buy a, you know, civilian Jeep. They went out of their way and they bought a military Jeep. So when they purchased this Jeep, it was originally olive drab green. It wasn't red like this. They had to paint it. But so I'll take you over to where all the parts are, and I'll show you kind of some progress that have been made on it over the years. Like I said, this Jeep hasn't been touched for about 10 years, but we're about to get back on it and restore it as soon as the M201 is finished. Alright, so here's the tub for the Jeep. This one is still the original paint, or I should say it still has the paint from the fire company. There's still some red here. That's the red paint that you saw in the picture of it in 1975. And then here's the yellow paint after they repainted it sometime in the late 70s. And this is one of the few components from the Jeep that is still in, you know, the paint as it was from the fire company, because as I stated earlier, that this Jeep it's already, the restoration has already begun on it. A lot of parts have already been painted, but like I said, now I'm deciding whether or not I want to turn it back into a fire Jeep or if I want to restore it into a military Jeep. And I really think that I'm going to restore it, finish the restoration off into a military Jeep. The axles have already been rebuilt and repainted. You could see, you know, olive drab green. Apologies for the crummy lighting here, but these axles, they've already been all rebuilt. They got new Firestone non-reversible military tires on them, but these tires, they're brand new. Yeah. Here's the other side, and then we have everything all organized here. All the parts and components, they're all in boxes and labeled. Yeah, as I said, once the M201 is finished, the 42 Ford GPW Fire Jeep will be underway. This is just a video introducing it, so yep. I also have a set of original Ford combat wheels right here. You can see they're the split wheels. You could split them. That's what makes them combat wheels. Now, for non-Jeep people or people that don't know a whole lot about these Jeeps, what makes a combat rim a combat rim is, if you see here, they're split down the middle right there. And if you look at the other side, you can see the bolts that hold it together. And the reason they call them combat rims is because in a combat situation, if you get a flat tire and say your spares are already been used and you need to get a tire on real quick, you would just unbolt all these bolts from the sorry, all these nuts from the bolts. You'd unbolt them, and you'd split your rim in two. You'd put your new tire on, put it back together, and then you're off to the races. You're good to go. But these rims are super desirable, and a lot of guys like the way that they look on their Jeeps. I really like the way that they look, so if I ever want to, I can always put these on the 42 Ford. Here's the engine for the Jeep. Obviously the head is not the original head. I just set this on here to keep moisture out, because the block was planed, so you don't want the flash rust. I put some oil on it to keep it from flash rusting, and I put this on just to keep stuff out of it, just temporarily. But that's the engine for the Jeep here. Over here we have the radiator. It was record. It's ready to go in once we move on with the project. Here's the water pump, which was rebuilt. It's in primer, ready to be painted. We like to use original parts and then rebuild them. Personally, I'm a purist, so it really kills me to buy new parts, and swap out the original parts, even if it'll cost more. Because really, for me, it's all about the preservation of the vehicle. So even if it'll cost more, I really don't mind spending a little bit extra just to make it more original. For example, here's an original Autolite distributor. It's been rebuilt, but it's all original. Yeah, it costs a lot to have this rebuilt, but really, having the original distributor rather than just going on to some store and buying an aftermarket one, just having the original is just really the way to go, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion. Some people like to buy new stuff, and hey, that's fine. Okay, well, bam, there you go. There's the first video, or the first introduction video of the 1942 Ford GPW Fire Jeep. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope it was somewhat entertaining or informative. I'm really excited to get this Jeep on the road. Who knows how long that'll be? I mean, it's a full project. You saw how much work still needs to be done to this Jeep. I mean, the frame is still just leaning up against the wall over there. But with our expertise, I think we could get it done. Yeah, that's the 42 Ford. I've been wanting to do a video on this rig for quite a while, but now that the M201 is almost done, it's almost ready to hit the road. So now that that's almost finished, I'm going to be ready to move on to the 42 Ford. So yeah, I apologize if I was somewhat repetitive in this video. This video is pretty, I'm just piecing it together. So I haven't really watched any of the clips. I'm just kind of piecing them together as I go. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.